Welcome to another Node-RED project video, and I wanted to share an unfinished project with you, which I think I started about this time last year, and this was supposed to be a Christmas present for my dad. And what this does is this is a web scraper which specifically looks at radio programs in Hungarian radios. So you can look for radio programs that you want to listen to later on, and it's going to program your Raspberry Pi to record that radio program from an internet stream, so online radio stream. So the idea behind this flow was that my dad is really old, so he's like 84 years old, but he still works. He works as a medical doctor, and he works in many different hospitals and not in the same city where he lives, so he travels a lot. Sometimes he takes the train or sometimes he drives, depending on the hospital. And he likes to listen to radio. So we have a national radio station. One is classical music and the other one is a lot of talking and stuff. So what he does is, if he travels by car, then he still has like a hi-fi set with a cassette deck. So he records the program to normal, cassettes, and then the car still have a cassette player. So then he listens to that. But if he travels by train, what he usually does is he still has his own Samsung A-series phone, which has a built-in FM radio. So when he wants to record something, he would just turn on that old phone, connect the headphone jack, because that's the antenna, and then use the built-in FM radio app to record the program. And then he takes the phone with him, and then he listens to the recording when he's traveling. So this is what I wanted to automate, and I wanted to make him a device, and a flow in Node-RED, that he can select the radio station, and then he can select the day, and then the flow is going to scrape the program, and I found this website where you can look at the radio programs for a specific day, and then they will load the programs, and basically that gets scraped by this application here, as you can see, and then he can just select the program. For example, he wants to, select or listen to this one, and then this gets added to the recording list, which you can see down here. And then when the time comes, my Raspberry Pi is going to create a recording. And then the file, the recorded file, is going to be available here, so I can download it from this UI. But the idea and the piece that I got stuck was that I wanted to make it, completely automatic, because I just can't expect him to learn how to download and copy stuff to the phone. So my idea was that he plugs the phone using a USB cable into the Raspberry Pi, and I was just expecting that, just like in Windows where it detects a new device, the Pi would automatically mount that the phone, and somehow I can catch that event and start automatically copying the recordings over. And that's the bit which is not working, because I think it's, the file is not, a phone is not a USB drive which just gets automatically mapped to a drive. It doesn't even happen in Windows, because you don't get a separate drive for the phone. You just get it like a new device in the, in my PC. You just get it as a new device, so it's not even a drive. So I got stuck at that point, and without that piece working, it just doesn't make sense, because teaching him using this program is probably going to be a lot of stuff, and then the downloading part is going to be just even more complicated. So I have actually given up on that. But still, the recording part of it already works. So you might find this flow useful, even though it is heavily geared to my particular needs, especially the web scraping part. Is obviously works with this site which only lists the Hungarian stations. Well, it does list a few more. No, these are Hungarian stations. But still, maybe you want to build something else, and there is already a good base to start from. So let's look at the flow, and It's a bit of a mishmash because pretty much this is working in progress. So there is a lot of like testing stuff that you can see here, but still, I mean, maybe you can use this flow or just learn from it. So let me start from the top. First is we define the settings. I created a JSON settings file where you specify the various radio stations, and each station has a name which gets displayed here in the dropdown, and it has a stream URL. So this is the URL for the streaming audio. There is a URL for the guide and an extension. Because I was playing around whether I can do MP3 better or AAC, but actually MP3 worked just fine. So I have the two stations. This is the classical music station. This is the sort of like the talking radio station. And actually for the classical music, I managed to get a really good 360 kilobits per second stream. Yeah, so you create your stations that you want to make available, and of course that settings file gets stored in the payload. So you can see the settings here. It's a flow variable, and from that I can just extract the stations to populate this dropdown. So you can see them here, and then in the next dropdown you can also select the day. And all of these two are getting stored in some flow variable, so you can see what data you have selected and what station you have selected. And then when you click on the load button, then I need to start scraping. So first of all, I created this flow, which, I mean, it obviously says if you haven't selected the station or you haven't selected the day. But after that, it will start putting the URL together. And the way the URL works in this web page, as you can see, there is a base URL for the station, and then there is a date in the Hungarian date format, so year, month, day, and that basically just gives you the station information with a lot of advertisement. Okay, so that is what is happening here. I get the station, the guide, and I have the date in a special formatted date. Oh, sorry, I already have the date here when I generate the dates. So, which is up here. So the day list, as you can see, is getting generated in year, month, day format. So I put these two together and I call an HTTP request node, and then these nodes basically start analyzing the HTML format. And I tried my best to not to write everything in JavaScript. For example, I was trying to get all these programming information by analyzing the HTML, trying to see if I can use either the class or some ID, and I managed to get this. So I was able to separate it to the actual section which shows the program data, which is a specific class, and within that I was able to get the program entries, so PE. But then I got stuck because then the rest of the information I wasn't able to get, so I had to write a lot of JavaScript code to basically concatenate the string which is left for each of the program entries, and of course I do a lot of conversions of the date format in either the the written date which is on the website. So for example, 0804 or 1700 into a JavaScript date format. But basically what happens right at the end is I create this another flow variable, which is called a progs. So these are the various programs. So again, if you want to convert this flow to your application, then all you need to do is you have to, well, not all, but what you have to do is you modify this function node so it scrapes your website and then it converts it to this format. So there is a big array of all the different programs, and then you have a program time start. So this is midnight, and it has a JavaScript timestamp that we are going to use, and there is a title for the program, and there is a long text. Maybe I can pick something else. Yeah. And there is a station ID, there is a date. So this is a human readable date format and a human readable date format with the timestamp as well when the program starts. And I think, oh, I also thought that there is another one which calculates the length, but maybe it doesn't. So it creates this huge list of the programs for that particular day, and it feeds it into this UI table, which is this one. And again, for this, I had to select a component which is not a standard component or not part of the dashboard. And this is called the UI table. So UI, yeah, it's this one, Node-RED Node UI table. Basically for the UI table, you can, as you can see, you pass an array of data, and then you specify that from this array, pick which property, and then use that property as a column in the table. So then it automatically does all the formatting. So as you can see, I'm passing this huge progs array to this, and I say that, oh, I want the first entry to be the PE title, and why do I have PE title twice? Maybe I have, I don't know. And then I also have the PE long, which, oh, I had the description if I want to, oh, sorry, PE time and title. So I'm showing the time when the program starts, the title, and the long description. And this is what you can see here on the screen. And whenever you click any of the entries in a table, in the UI table, that's going to return the entry that you have selected. And once you selected that entry, then it gets added to the recording list. So I'm just basically creating a new table or a new variable here, which again gets saved in the flow, which is called the recording list. And actually you can see the recording list down here as well. So it has 3 entries. If I refresh, then in the recording list, as you can see, I have 3 entries. And I'm pretty much just copy and pasting the value from here with some additional details. For example, I'm not sure why I have the ID, but anyway, I've added this PE length. So this is the length of the program in seconds. So that would be 1 hour. And then I have the length in minutes as well, 61 minutes for some reason. And there are some other details as well that I'm going to use later on. So this is the recording list where the flow is going to monitor. If this time has basically passed, then it starts the recording. Okay, so that's the recording list. And as you can see here, okay, I just create this recording list, and sorry. So this is the recording list. This is the program table, and when I click the item that I clicked, it comes out of the output port, so I can add it to the recording list, and I just reformat this recording list, which is here. And the rest of it is basically just yeah, as you can see, some debug nodes and stuff that I have did for myself to, for monitoring and that sort of stuff. So this is all, this upper part which is all the way up here. So that is responsible for getting the program list and adding it to the recording list. And then the second part is the actual recording. I've used some code that I've done for some other schedulers before, but we have an inject node which fires every minute, and then every minute this code is going to check the recording list, and basically it's going to check whether the current time is after this timestamp. So this is the JavaScript timestamp with the date and the time when the recording is supposed to start. And if it's supposed to start, then it's going to output that information in the output port. So then it basically just sends a signal that, okay, you need to start a recording now. And here you are going to see two separate flows because when I wanted to scrape an online radio originally, I was told that I should use a Stream Reaper. And so this is a Linux application. You can just do sudo apt-get install Stream Reaper. And you can see the format here. So sudo Stream Reaper, you provide a URL, so the MP3 URL where the online radio station is, and then /d, and you provide an output path, and /l, you provide the length in seconds, how long you want the recordings to last, and /a, a file name, and a few other parameters. And this is supposed to create a recording. And no matter what I did, I only got bad recordings. So I'm not sure if it's going to come through, but maybe you can hear that it's all like, jumbled, and like pieces of recording from, pieces are missing from the stream. And it's definitely not down to my internet connection, because everything else seems to be working on my computer just fine. So I started looking for something else. And I was thinking that, that stream, the MP3 URL, is most probably MP3 stream. So what if I just issue the wget command, which basically just saves that URL response in a file? And I know it's not going to be nice because I'm just creating a stream, or I'm just saving a stream, but I was hoping that it's going to be sort of like a good enough format for most of my audio players to play. And actually it does. So instead of, I've given up on Stream Reaper completely. And what I have done is I just created basically I copied this function node to this one. And instead of Stream Reaper, I'm just basically saying wget o, so get a URL and save it to an output file. So I'm saving it to an output path and a file name, and I'm providing it a URL. So it's a simple, I'm just basically redirecting the stream into a file. And as you can see, I'm specifying the output path here, and the file name gets generated automatically by the start date time. So this is the human readable year, month, day, hour, minute, second, and what else? I think the station name and the station title. So this one and this one. And I'm doing all sorts of replacing just to make sure that it doesn't contain any of the characters that will be not permitted as a file name. And this is how these files get created. So you see the timestamp, all underscores, and radio station, and then the thing. And it actually works nice. So hopefully the recording includes the audio, but this is perfect audio. So there is no glitching, nothing. And VLC is able to play this file without any issues. It probably has some some rubbish at the beginning, but then probably it has an MP3 header, so it's able to pick up from there. I don't know, but it just works. So it generates this URL, which is the wget, and it sends it to an exec node. And I've configured this exec node to run in the spawn mode, which means that it will give the response back immediately. I think that's what it does. And of course, the wget is going to record a stream until the end of days. And the only way to stop it is that when I send out the wget command, I create a second output. What's happening outside with the dogs? Anyway, which is going to generate a kill command. And then I also set the delay to the length of the program. And I basically just have a delay node, which is going to delay the kill command to the time when the recording is supposed to end. So this vget or the wget is going to run in your Raspberry Pi until it gets the kill command, and it's just going to kill it. So that's how it works. And there is no easier way to do this. I mean, of course, for the Stream Reaper, you could pass how long the recording should start, so that would stop automatically. And once it stops, it just saves the results. So I update these recordings recording list, and it's going to add a few details. For example, what is the output. So it's even going to save the output from the wget. So you would have all this information here. I mean, I mainly used it for debugging in the beginning of the process, but what it also does, it has all these delays just to make sure that the file is, properly created and closed and everything. But at the end, it also updates the recording with the status of the either the wget or the Streamripper, and then finally it also gets the file details. So it passes the full file name with a path into a node, which is the file lister node. I shouldn't have it here. Anyway, yeah, I have some defaults here, but that gets overwritten by the data that I pass through. And I check this return file details. And by the way, this node, this is not a standard node. It's called, fs. Yeah, node red contrib fs. So this is the file lister node. Yep. So that is that is going to give me the file details, and then once the file details are created, then I can update some information again on the recording list. So there is going to be a few more attributes added here. For example, what is the length of the file that got recorded, and that information is also gets sent to me in a Telegram message. So again, the idea was that my dad would be using this, and then I would get Telegram messages like when he scheduled a program, when the program recording starts, and also when the program recording ends. So I can just, I can just monitor what is going on. And what I also wanted to monitor is how much space he's using on the Raspberry Pi. So once the recording ended, so this is when the recording ends, and I also go back and update the recording list. So this table here. So once when the recording ends, then I should have a file size here, and also I'm going to have a URL here which is going to link directly to the MP3 that got recorded. So I can just download it from here if I want to. And so when all that happens, I'm also calling this function node, which again is not a standard function node, but it is called the something OS. OS, yeah, node red contrib OS. And that gives me free space. So I create this payload. Again, this is Hungarian text, but you can probably figure out. So I show what is the capacity of the SD card and how much is free. So if it's running out of space, I know to, I don't know, for example, log in remotely into the SD card, into the Raspberry Pi, and delete some of the older recordings. I think probably I should do something here so I can also delete it from here. And that's the end of the flow. Oh yeah, and right at the end here, this is all where the Telegram messages are go. And here in this message in this function node, I just hard-coded my Telegram message ID. So you can replace it with yours, and then you just feed it into your Telegram sender node, I think it is. The Telegram sender, yeah, Telegram sender node. So that's it. This is where this is at. And as I said, it is working fine. It does the recording. It works remarkably good using just wget and instead of using the Streamripper. I don't know why it's not working, why the Streamripper is not working for me. But anyway, I found another solution. And yeah, so as I said, if you want to use it for your own stations, I mean, you still have to do quite a bit of work to get this flow modified, but basically you start by redefining the settings file here. And then you need to also maybe modify this one where it generates the URL. because your station guide is probably going to have a different URL section. Oh, by the way, the reason I needed to add these headers and the agent, because if I don't do this, then the website is not going to return any data, so they probably want to limit scraping or prevent scraping. And then you also need to modify these set of flows here, these two and these three, which is specific to my radio station website or the program website that I have used. So at the end, you just need to create the same progs structure in the in the context in order to use the rest of the flow. But other than that, I think the rest should be working without any issues. Of course, there are a few sort of hard-coded entries in the function nodes. So, for example, here I have the the output path where I want to store the recording, and I'm storing in the Node-RED static folder. So the link that I generate here, I can just right-click and save location or save link as. But I think other than that, it's probably going to be fairly standard and not have too many user-specific or hard-coded stuff. And you just need to update the UI so it shows Hungarian description instead of, sorry, it shows English descriptions instead of Hungarian. But I think that would be all. Of course, the link to this flow is going to be in the video description. And I already mentioned the free flows or the free additional nodes that you need to install to get these additional functions. But yeah, I think that should be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.